Hello there, my name's Lee Matthews and I'm a physiotherapist, and this is Pilates, Rehab, Relax. So don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for all of my latest Pilates routines, gentle physio exercises and relaxation sessions. So today we're going to go through 5 gentle Pilates exercises that you can do in laying. I'm going to do them laying on an exercise mat. You might do them laying on a rug or a beach towel. It might be that you don't like getting on off of the floor or don't feel very safe doing so, in which case definitely don't lay on the floor to do them. Do them on your bed, maybe take the duvet back so that it's a firmer surface, but do them on your bed because safety comes first with this sort of thing. So this is a great video if you're looking to start exercising and you're just a bit uncertain of where to go with it. It's great for people that might have underlying conditions like low back pain, or if you're trying to get yourself a little bit stronger with the muscles around your tummy. Sometimes those muscles can get a little bit weak after certain things like operations, and it's a really good thing to get those muscles a little bit stronger, because if you've got things like back pain, having weakness of those muscles or having tightness can actually exacerbate some of those symptoms. So this is a really kind way of exercising and a really good starting point if you're uncertain. So go at your own pace, do what's right for you, and it's not how it looks, it's how it feels when you're doing them. So I'll talk you through them all, and I think we're probably best to get started. So I'm going to bring myself into a laying position. There we go. And ideally what I'd look for is for your feet to be about hip width apart, and we're going to try and have some nice wide shoulder blades here, and I'm looking for that nice lengthening of my spine there. So if you wanted to go through the principles of Pilates a little bit more fully, click on the link above and it will take you to a video where I go through all the fundamentals of Pilates, but you're fine to just jump in and do these today. So what I'm looking for is those wide collarbones, and make sure you've got some support underneath your head. So if you find that your chin's poking up to the ceiling, you might need a pillow or a bit more support, but I've got a folded blanket underneath me for a little bit of support. You might use a towel or something. My feet are flat on the floor, knees bent, and my knees have got a little gap in the middle there as well. So our first exercise that we're going to do today is recruiting that muscle that we call our core. So the way we go about that, if you find where your tummy muscle is, and I want you to bring your fingers just either side of that, a couple of inches either side, so it's still that soft sort of bit there when you push your fingers in. If you go to cough, so if you try and laugh, what you'll find is that muscle just tenses up under your fingers, and that's that deep corset of muscle that we sometimes call the core. So our first exercise is going to be to gently try and recruit that muscle. We're going to tense it up. So I want you to try and draw that tummy button in towards you, and it's a little bit like if you were doing up a really tight pair of trousers. Maybe you've got a good pair of trousers you like and your tummy's got a little bit big for them. So that action of drawing inwards and hold, and I'm going to try and hold that contraction for about 5 seconds and then relax again. So that's our first exercise. Let's have a go at doing 5 of those in a row. So that was 1. So here we go again. Draw that tummy muscle in and hold. And I'm looking for a contraction that you can do and still talk, still breathe. So if you're bracing, then you're trying too hard. I'm looking for about a 60% contraction. That must be 5, mustn't it? And relax again. So yeah, it's not clenching that muscle as hard as you possibly can. It's drawing inwards and holding and sustaining it comfortably, but throughout that activation of that muscle, I'm still breathing, I'm still able to talk to you, and I'm not turning blue in the face. So if you can't do these things without holding your breath, you're probably using too much of the muscles up here. And relax again. So that was 3. We're going to do 5 of each of these ideally. And again, so drawing in. So it's almost like a scoop up of the pelvic floor and drawing in that tummy muscle, and we hold that and relax. So these are muscles that really help to support our back. And there's it one more time here, and draw in and hold. So not only is it really good to use these for exercise like we're doing, they're actually muscles that you can use when you're doing daily activity. So if you find it's a bit of a struggle with things like lifting the laundry basket, if you draw these muscles in when you go to lift that basket, or if you're lifting a box or you're shopping, you'll find it gives your back that little bit of extra support. So it's an exercise you can do wherever you are, and it's even more helpful if you actually recruit it while you're doing some of the more challenging tasks in your day. There you go. So if you struggled with that, then maybe just stick with that first exercise, build yourself up from 5 towards 10, and then when you feel comfortable with it, you can then take that into some of the other exercises we're about to do. So if you're happy with that and you're doing all right, then what I want to now do is keep on engaging that core when we do each of the following exercises, if that's right. The second exercise we're now going to do is called a single leg stretch. So again, let's find that tummy muscle again. I'm going to start with my tummy button, and I bring my fingers either side there. Again, I'm just going to push in. So when you're used to this and familiar with it, it might even be you just have the hands resting down by your side, and that's fine. But if you're in any uncertainty, get those fingers just in that soft fleshy bit of your tummy, and no matter how big or small your tummy is, I promise we've all got these muscles. It's just that sometimes they can get a little bit weak. So I'm going to draw that tummy muscle in and holding that contraction, and then as I breathe out, I'm going to slide one of my legs. So I'm going to slide the leg closest to you guys out and away from me, keeping that muscle engaged. And then as I breathe in, I'm bringing the leg back in again. So don't worry too much about the breathing, but you're welcome to join in. So again, engage that core muscle, and then on an outward breath, I'm going to slide that heel out and away from me, and then to breathe in, back in towards me. So shall we aim to do 5 on each side maybe? That was 2. And you can go at your own pace with these by all means, but slow and steady is probably what we're aiming for, because when we move slowly, it requires more control. But don't forget to engage these tummy muscles as that leg's moving there. So one more on this side, and then we'll swap over and do the other side. So here we go. Draw that tummy muscle in, and sliding that leg out and away from you, and then back in again. Well, that was 5 on one side, so let's do the same on the other leg. So again, draw that muscle in, hold that contraction, and then sliding that leg out and away from you, and back in again. So again, you work at your own pace. I'm going to do 5 while we're doing this today, but you could build up to 10, and there's lots of progressions on this as well. But we'll start gentle, because I'd always rather you did something gently and live to tell the tale at the end of it. I think often people have this perception that exercise has got to be painful for it to be of benefit, and that's completely against what I'm looking for with this sort of exercise. We can get all those benefits if we just go gently and do a little and often approach. And with any exercise, it takes time to see that benefit, but I mean, I don't mind pops and creaks. I don't mind a twinge when you're doing these exercises. I don't even mind a little bit of soreness with exercise. But if you find that half an hour after doing them that you're just struggling to function or you're still sore, then I think you're pushing too hard with it. So I'd much rather you did a small amount. You might even just do a couple of these. You might even start on one side or just do the first exercise. But I'd rather you came back and just did them little and often and slowly see progress. The trouble is if we do them and make ourselves really sore, it's unpleasant. It just reinforces negative thoughts about exercise, and you don't need to have that. You can do these things and get the benefit without the suffering. So the third exercise we're going to do is called the hip twist, and it's the hip twist level 1. And that involves just one of our legs moving. So I'll guide you through it and you join in with me. So let's draw that tummy in again. I'm going to engage that muscle there. And what I'm going to now do is my leg that's closest to you, I'm going to tilt it towards you. So there we go, my knee drops out to the side, but I'm engaging this muscle. And imagine you've got a tray of drinks balanced on your tummy, and maybe one of those drinks on that other knee there. Now I don't want those drinks to spill a drop, yeah? It's got to stay completely still and then relax again. So again, we engage that muscle. I'm going to let my hands rest down by my side for this one so you can see. I keep that muscle engaged and then drop that knee out towards you. Now my knee could probably go further, but if I did, I'd lose control of that imaginary tray of drinks there. So let's keep it where it is and then bring it in. So again, this is about control. It's not about how far you go. It's just about doing a small movement that remains controlled. So again, if you imagine you've got a glass of your favourite drink on that other knee, and I don't want you to spill a drop of it, yeah? So if I was teaching a group of people, I might go around and ask them what that drink is that's balanced on their knee. Maybe you can leave your note of what drink it is in the comments box. And back in again. So again, you might start with just doing 5 of these on each leg, and if you feel comfortable with it, you could build up towards 10, but we again draw that tummy in, out to the side, and then back in again. So now I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. So again, drawing that tummy in, keep that core engaged as we drop the opposite knee out to the side in that slow and controlled movement, and then back in again. So nobody is symmetrical. If they say they are, they're not looking at themselves closely enough. And I would say that it's often the case that one side wobbles more than the other. It's often the case. So it might be you find that one knee's more control than the other when you do this exercise. And that's fine. What you'll find is that with practice of exercise, you might find that both sides improve, and you might even that gap up a little bit. There we go. And I think we do a couple more, and then we move on to the next exercise. So the nice thing about Pilates is it's very adaptable. So you can start gentle, and there's always things you can do to make that exercise slightly more challenging or make it slightly easier. But we're just trying to start gently with all of these because we can always build on that. So the 4th exercise we're going to do is again the hip twist, but this is the hip twist level 2. It's slightly different. So I'm going to bring my knees so they're now touching each other, and my ankles are now touching each other. I'm going to give myself a little bit more space with my arms, so I've got room to roll over to each side. My shoulders are going to stay in contact with the surface I'm laying on the whole way throughout. So whether you're on a mat or if you're on a bed, I don't want your shoulders moving with this one. It's all about what we're doing from the knees and around the hip area there. So engage that core muscle and keep that engaged. And on an outward breath, what I'm going to do is roll my knees over to one side together. So whereas the hip twist level 1 was just one knee coming out to the side, this is both knees. And what's important as I do this is my bottom cheek comes up off of the mat on the other side. So again, keeping that muscle engaged, I bring myself back into the middle again. So I'm going to do 5 to each side with this one. So that was the first one over to one side. Let's keep on going. So again, I engage that muscle and over to the opposite side. And you can see that my bottom cheeks come up off of the mat on that side and then back in again. So if we did this and we didn't lift the bottom cheek up, it would just be a hip movement. We want this to be a movement involving our back. So second one over towards you, engage that core muscle, and those knees come over to one side, keeping that core muscle engaged, and then back in again. And the same to the other side. So we engage that core throughout, and then back in again. And again, so zip up that tummy muscle, so we've engaged the core, and then over towards you. And again, if you're looking to synchronize your breathing with the movement, you do that movement on an outward breath. So again, and back in again. So there's lots of bits to Pilates, and I think even if you just focus on the movement to begin with, don't even worry too much about the breath. But again, if we just engage that core muscle, what you find is you get a little bit more exercise, you get a little bit more recruitment there. And back in again, and one last time over to the other side. There we go. And again, it might well be the case that you can go further on one side than the other with this. Because sometimes if you've got back pain, it might be that one side, the muscles are a lot tighter than the other. But again, the good thing is that this movement not only strengthens those muscles, but it actually improves the flexibility there. So over time, it'll help to address some of that adaptive tightness that might have crept in with pain. We've got one last exercise to do, you'll be pleased to know, and that's the shoulder bridge. I'm going to show you two slightly different versions of it, because if you're struggling, you might find the full shoulder bridge a bit irritable. So what we're going to do to begin with is just a gentle pelvic tilt. So I'm going to pop my hands a bit like a triangle over where my belly button is. And what I want you to try and do for me is, if you try and push the small of your back into the bed or into the mat, so your tailbone is peeling up off of the bed slightly or off of the floor slightly, what effectively we're doing, that triangle is tilting one way and then back down the other. So again, if I keep on doing that as an exercise just to demonstrate, so I draw that tummy button in towards the floor, and then I'm bringing the tailbone down towards the floor. So it's a rocking motion where we tilt the pelvis first one way and then the other. You might find that this is challenging. If your muscles are quite tight in your back, it can sometimes be just a little bit of a challenge, sometimes even a little bit irritable. So for some of you, that might be what you stick with and just do 5 of those. But if you find that's okay, then the progression for the full shoulder bridge would be a bit like a Mexican wave. So we start by peeling our tailbone off of the mat, and then we're slowly going to lift up, peeling one segment of our spine off of the mat at a time, keeping that muscle drawn in here, and then slowly we come back and down again to land on that mat. So again, draw the tummy muscles in, and then flatten the small of the back into the bed, tilting that triangle we talked about, and like a Mexican wave, we peel our tailbone and then the rest of our spine off of the mat, and you might go all the way up. So you lift your bottom off of the mat or the bed. For some of you though, it might even be that you do a much smaller shoulder bridge. It might be just peel back and the bottom just engages those muscles. And the great thing is, even if you're not lifting that bottom up, the action of trying to do this will work those muscles and get them stronger. And sometimes with our problems that we might have, like back pain, those bottom muscles can get quite weak. So this is a really lovely exercise for getting you a bit stronger with some of the muscles that can sometimes get a bit deconditioned. And back down again. So we'll do one more of those. There you go. Lifting up and holding for a few seconds. And then back down again. And there you go. That was your 5 gentle Pilates exercises in laying. So hopefully you found that was okay. If you found it was a bit easy, there's actually a 25-minute Pilates routine that I've recorded doing gentle exercises on a mat. It's just a little bit longer, a little bit more engaging. If you found it was a sufficient challenge, then build slowly, and it might be that you start with just 5 of each of these, but then you build into doing 10 repetitions and progress onwards to that. If you found that laying on a mat was not a great position, if you didn't like laying flat with the exercise, then it might be that you start by doing them in a position like seated or even standing, and I've recorded links for that as well, so I'll make sure that there's some links at the end of this video for other things that might be of use. Hope you enjoyed it, and take care and see you soon.